Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here to do my weekly comic book review. These comics came out March 13th, 2013. Let's get to reviewing. First off from Marvel, Age of Ultron, Book 2. Pretty much the first half of this book features Black Widow and Moon Knight in San Francisco dealing with Ultron, and they've also been hiding out in one of Nick Fury's safe houses, particularly the one he used during Secret Invasion. And also, Black Widow apparently has some sort of scar going on her right eye, which is a little strange. And while this is going on back in New York, in the remains of the helicarrier, Spider-Man recounts to all the other heroes how he was captured by the Owl and Hammerhead. He basically almost slept through the entire Ultron event. Then when he went to go investigate, he was hit and knocked out. Then he was found by Hammerhead and Owl, and apparently they were planning on selling him to Ultron, which, gets everyone talking, like, why would Ultron need to buy someone? And, right when Spider-Man asks, what's the plan now, Tony says, right now it's just to survive, and Hawkeye says, that's not a good plan, Tony. And then Captain America suddenly stands up and says, yeah, it's not, but now I have a plan. So, pretty much Captain America was able to stand up just like that. I am not really... I think there was some hype with Age of Ultron, but honestly, I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, $3.99 for this event, for each issue, just seems like it's not worth it, because last issue, Captain America was, really depressed, and that's where the last issue ended, with him, sitting down, head in his knee, head down, thinking, and, he looked very depressed, but now suddenly he's able to just get back up and say, I have a plan. I didn't like that. I really didn't, and another thing, though, is I'm just not exactly sure how this event works, because we have no idea how it began, how Ultron attacked and what happened, because that's what I think we're lacking in this event. Right now, I really don't think Age of Ultron is really worth buying right now, but I'm going to give it to, the third issue, which is going to be at the end of the month, and if it doesn't impress me by then I'm going to be done with it, because I do not want to shell out $4 an issue for the next 6 issues next 7 issues after that, just for, stuff that doesn't really seem to be paying off. Right, next up, Thor, God of Thunder, number 6. Pretty much, this is the issue that reveals the origins of Gore, the God Butcher. Apparently, back on his home world, Gore's people were very devout. They worshipped their gods, and however, Gore had a number of setbacks in life. First, his father died, then his mother died, and then his wife, who was carrying his child, died, and and just a lot of stuff happened, and until one day, Gore finally says, enough. Even though everyone keeps telling him, as long as we worship them, the gods will give us stuff. But Gore's like, no way. We've prayed to the gods for years. Nothing good has happened. There are no gods. And right when he says that, he gets pretty much beaten and shunned by his entire community. And one day when he's wandering in the desert, he finds 2 gods who've crashed down from the heavens, and they're fighting each other. And when one asks for Gore's help, Gore just immediately rejects him. It's just why should I help you when you didn't help me? And suddenly this black ooze starts to take form on him, and that gives him his powers, and he's able to kill the gods. And then he went on his rampage to go and murder every single god he could find. Then we cut back to the future present, which we saw right after the first story arc in Thor, God of Thunder. Gore's pretty much torturing and killing Volstagg. And when he's doing this, Volstagg mocks Gore by saying, he's become at this point, Gore has become what he's hated, a god. And with that, Gore kills Volstagg, and shortly after that, Gore is shortly joined by his son. Really, his son, and appears at the end. I don't know how, but it happens. Yeah, This is actually pretty good. I'm glad that they decided to, do a background. I mean, we didn't get much about Gore's background in the first story arc, but Jason Aaron, who's the writer on this, it's good that he went back at this point just to give us a background on who Gore was and what's going on, and then we move to the next story arc, which will be Thor and future Thor dealing with what Gore is currently up to. So I think that's good that we actually have an issue to explain his motives, and it was very well written. I'll give it that. And as far as a jumping on point, this is probably either this issue or the next one will be probably a good jumping on point for people who haven't picked this up yet but have heard good things about it. So, if you can, I'd say wait till maybe the first 5 issues are collected in a trade, and then start picking, though I have no idea when the trade's going to come out. Maybe, I think, in the next couple of months, but, right now, this is your good, if you haven't been too sure about Thor, God of Thunder, it's a good series, so this would be a good jumping on point for you. Okay, now it's time for DC, starting with Superboy, number 18. Alright, Superboy, the issue starts off with Superboy returning the money he originally borrowed. And right when he's doing so, suddenly the bank is attacked by Plasmus. And Superboy starts fighting Plasmus, but their fight eventually attracts the attention of a telepath named Dr. Psycho. And Dr. Psycho reads Superboy's mind, or rather he transforms to an astral form and goes into his mind. And the reason he's actually attracted to the fight is because Psycho feeds off telekinetic energy, and Superboy's powers, they're based off telekinesis. So he enters Superboy's mind, and he sees, images of Superboy in his cloning tube, and also images of his friends, the Titans, and some of the Ravengers. And but then eventually his mind leads Psycho to an image of Lex Luthor, who's actually interacting with Psycho, and that's where the issue ends with a teaser with the tagline saying "Next issue, Lex Luthor explains Superboy's origins," and also we get a backup feature that features Crypto, the Superdog. I would say that right now this seems to be they're starting to get into the Lex Luthor part of Superboy's origins, because we all know that this Superboy is a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor. But even though we've touched on so far who created Superboy, why they did it, we haven't exactly gotten to what... And also, we are getting into Superman's role in this, although what disappoints me is that when they kind of teased this issue in the solicitations, they said something like Superman was going to guest star, but he didn't. And I kind of thought this would be the issue where Superboy kind of, takes a new identity. Apparently will take a new identity and stuff, but he doesn't. It's just, right now I think we're kind of entering an interlude where they're going to get a new writer on this book for issue 20, so right now I think we're just kind of in a short interlude until that. But so far this is the start to explain the Lex Luthor side of things, like what role Lex Luthor played in Superboy's creation, and possibly it will explain like why whether or not maybe Lex sabotaged Nowhere's creation, or maybe it was Nowhere themselves that thought of an interesting idea to clone Superman with Luthor's DNA. Personally, I was reading this and I was kind of like, okay, yeah, Superboy's fighting Plasmus and some dude's going into his mind, but what really saved me for this issue, what kind of makes me want to get the next one, is Lex Luthor, because I want to see what his role, how exactly his DNA got into this whole Project Superboy thing. So I look forward to an explanation behind that, but overall, I'd say this issue is about average. Okay, now for something that's a little more interesting. Batman, number 18. Alright, as you can tell, this is a Rec Room issue. This is an issue that deals with the aftermath of Damian Wayne's death, and it primarily features Harper Row again. Harper Row continues pretty much from the last time, has pretty much been going on this quest to find Batman. And while she's searching for him, she's also been training too to sort of help him. help him fight criminals too. But while she's fighting Batman, he has been really hardcore on criminals, like trying harder to beating them and like almost beating every single criminal in the inch of his life. Like, he's very angry. I think it's safe to say right now Batman is in the anger stage of grief. And one night Batman deals down a guy who runs dog fights for venom-infected dogs. Venom, the chemical that makes pain, that's pretty much supervillain steroids. And while Batman's dealing with those, Harper shows up and she's able to help him deal with the dogs and stuff. But afterwards, Batman tells her that her training means nothing to him, and that she should just give this up right now and go home, and just rips her a new one. And then the next day, Harper gets another idea to help Batman. Which involves something that she's familiar with, electrical grids, and she thinks that she can send him a message through the lights on Wayne Towers. And she goes to see Bruce Wayne about it, since she doesn't know Bruce Wayne is Batman. She does acknowledge the connection that Bruce Wayne runs Batman Incorporated, and she figures that she'd run it by Bruce Wayne because she knows he bankrolls Batman, so he might be able to help because she thinks he's having a rough time. And she goes by Bruce Wayne's office. She explains to Bruce what her plan, gives him the plans about what she wants to do, and Bruce says, "I'll have someone look it over, but yeah, you're right, I'll do this." And then the following night, Batman shows up to Harper, and he apologizes, and he actually apologizes for the way he acted. And they kind of talk, and how Harper sort of noticed he obviously went through a huge loss, because she kind of did the same thing with her mother when she lost her mother and stuff. But she tells him that things will probably get better for him. And also on the last page, it's revealed what her plan was. She rearranged all the lights on Wayne Tower so that most of them would be off, but the ones that are on would look like the Robin logo in honor of Damian. And that's where the issue ends. Batman number 18. Well, it was pretty nice. It was a very nice issue. I mean, it was pretty much, seeing how much Batman's... It's a nice little way to view Batman's reaction towards Damian's death from the point of view of an outsider, like someone who's not in... not just someone who's in the from someone who's not outside, who's outside the Batman family. That's what I think the point of this issue was, to show that Batman is going through a hard time, but there are people who still care about him, and even ones who don't know he's Bruce Wayne and that aren't really close to him, they still want to help him, which I think is nice. I would definitely still this proves that Batman is a great series that should be picked up, obviously. And the last comic I got is a series that I've heard good things about, but I didn't buy. I decided not to get it, or rather, I'm waiting for the trade paperback to come out. But I couldn't pass this up given what happened to Damian. It's Batman and Robin number 18. And this is, I would say this is the real Requiem issue, because it's a beautiful issue, alright? There's no dialogue spoken at all. Bruce Wayne tries to move on. He goes on patrol, but as he's getting suited up, leaving the Batcave, everything just reminds him of Damian. And, eventually his grief gets to him while he's out on the streets, and he leaves a bunch of criminals. He beats up almost every criminal in Gotham, and leaves him on the rooftop of the Gotham PD building. The rooftop is practically filled with criminals that he beat up. And later he goes back to the cave, and when he's putting away some of his costume, he notices he goes over to Damian's Robin locker with his equipment, and he notices a note Damian left, and it was a very nice note. Damian, it's written to Bruce from Damian. He says he's not going to let his father fight Leviathan alone, and even if he falls, it doesn't matter because Damian, even though Damian says that even though his mom gave him life, Bruce taught him how to live. And at that moment, once again, Batman's grief gets to him, and he has like a fit of rage. He knocks over the locker, but he picks up his son's Robin costume, and he just holds it, and he cries. And that's the final page. Yeah. This was a beautiful, beautiful issue. I mean, I think it really captures the point that it's not Batman. It's not that the whole Damian's death isn't Batman losing another Robin. It's Batman losing his son. That's the real message that we're getting here. And it's a shame that I didn't check out this series when Damian was still alive, because I've heard a lot of good things about it, about how Peter Tomasi has written Damian and Bruce's relationship. I mean, now I'm more determined to pick up the trade. Let me tell you, this was a really good issue. I mean, and I hate to say it, but between both of these, if you're looking for a good Requiem issue and you only want to get one, get Batman and Robin, not Batman, because this one was really brilliant, beautiful. I almost got teared up at the end. But yeah, this is the best comic of the week. This is pretty much comic of the week for me right now. I would highly recommend it to anyone who read The Death of Damian Wayne or is a Batman fan or a fan of Damian and Bruce. Just pick it up because it's really worth it. Well, that's my comic review for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Check out any of my other videos. Spider-Man 1991 saying see you later.